For the record, my name is Enrique Pepin, District 5, Boston City Councilor, and I'm the chair of the Boston City Council Committee on the Community Preservation Act. Today is April 1st, 2025. The exact time is 2:03 p.m. This hearing is being recorded. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/city-council-tv and broadcast on Xfinity Channel 8, RCN Channel 82, Files Channel 964. Written comments may be sent to the committee email at ccc.cpa@boston.gov and will be made a part of the record and available to all councilors. Public testimony will be taken at the end of this hearing. Individuals will be called on in the order in which they signed up and will have 2 minutes to testify. If you're interested in testifying in person, please add your name to the sign-up sheet near the entrance of the chamber. If you are looking to testify virtually, please email our Central Staff Liaison, Megan Kavanaugh, at megan.kavanaugh@boston.gov for the link, and your name will be added to the list. Today's hearing is on docket number 0641, message in order for the approval of an appropriation in order in the total amount of $38,148,052 from fiscal year 2025 Community Preservation Fund revenues for community preservation projects at the recommendation of the City of Boston's Community Preservation Committee. This matter was sponsored by the Mayor, Michelle Wu, and was referred to the committee on March 12, 2025. Today, I am joined by my colleagues in order of arrival, Councilor Flynn, Councilor Murphy, and Council President Ruthie Louis-Jean. For opening remarks, I'll start off by saying that this is probably one of my favorite hearings that happen throughout the year. It's always one it's so good to see the amazing projects that are potentially going to receiving some funds from the community preservation grants, and it's so great to see how the city is able to help a lot of these projects move forward and just come to life in the city of Boston. So I'm excited to hear what we're going to hear from today and the amazing projects we have here on the docket. But at this time, I'll pass it over to Councilor Flynn for a very brief opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the administration team that is here. A special thank you to Fadine Brown and the CPA team. Had an opportunity, Fadine, to work with you for many years, and you and your team are very professional. You work with residents, you listen, and you're very respectful to the public. So I just want to acknowledge the professional work that the CPA team does every day for the residents of Boston. Like Councilor Pepin has mentioned, I also love this program, and what I love about it is it brings residents together and celebrates our neighborhoods and brings out the best in people also. So want to say thank you. I'm not going to be able to stay for this hearing. I'll watch it later on video, but just wanted to say thank you to the CPA team for the outstanding work they do every day on behalf of the residents of the city. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Chair. Also, look forward to this conversation. It's always fun to be able to choose from, right, and talk through the program that has lend itself to so many great projects across the city. From past ones, I know, like advocating with Michelle over at the Warren Prescott and the families to get a playground at a school, to all the other projects. When I was flipping through, the projects that are coming up for this year's decisions, like a permanent shade at Camp Harborview, like just really good projects that may not be able to get into our budget, our city budget, and I'd like to see also, and I know you'll speak to it, but all the different departments that can participate, right, or just city buildings like the BHA towers. I know myself been advocating a lot for more recreational opportunities for our residents, all ages at BHA housing. So if this program, which today we'll talk, $38 million is a lot. It's probably never enough, and you have to turn away sometimes projects or encourage them to apply again next year. But just also want to reiterate what Councilor Flynn said. It's always been a pleasure to work with you and your team, and also the community. Anytime the community advocates and reaches out and really sells, why their project should be, chosen. I think it is a great way for us to come together. So looking forward to this and the process ahead. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Council President Louis Jen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to echo your comments and agree that I think this is one of the best hearings that we have. It is always great when we can say yes, 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 and we're supporting this project. I love that 50% is going to affordable housing. We know that's the #1 issue that residents in the city are bringing to our attention all of the time. I love that 65% of the projects are in what we consider a low-income, low AMI neighborhoods. That's also really important. The targeting and making sure that equity is an important part of the work that we do every day in the city, regardless of what's happening anywhere else. And I also think that the number of our, so many of the projects are amazing, but especially we see a lot of our historic religious institutions are really struggling, and that this can be a pathway is just really great. This is not your issue, the issue with the CPA. One thing that I am seeing and that I am hearing, especially in this time of national uncertainty from nonprofits and other organizations here, is, ability to support operations and programming. And I think it's really important that this CPA is distinct in what it does and doesn't fund, but just something for us to be thinking about, because oftentimes the folks who are coming to us for some sort of programmatic or operational support are also the ones who have, received some sort of CPA funding. But I think these are all incredible. I love that Roxbury and Dorchester and Mattapan and all throughout the city really are getting funds. As an at-large city councilor, it matters to me. And so I look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I won't be able to stay for the duration of the hearing, but I'm looking forward to supporting these projects and learning from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. All right, at this time, I would love to introduce today's panelist. If you can, mention your name, your titles, and what department you work for, and then you have the floor to do your presentation.
Thank you. My name is Thadeen Brown. I am the Director for the Community Preservation Office.
Good afternoon. I am Christine O'Keefe. I am the Director of the Neighborhood Housing Division at the Mayor's Office of Housing.
Hi, I'm Liza Meyer. I'm the Interim Commissioner with the Parks Department and Chief Landscape Architect with Parks as well. And I'm Kathy Baker Eclipse. I'm the Director of the Capital Plan for Boston Parks.
Thank you. So I have the pleasure today to kind of give a brief overview of the Community Preservation Act and what we do this funding round. So I have the honor of being the Director of the Community Preservation Office for the past 7 years. I've led the CPA office and overseen all 8 funding rounds. It has been a true privilege to support and serve the residents of the city of Boston. I would like to express my gratitude to the dedicated Community Preservation Committee. Each funding round, these members face tough decisions, and we deeply appreciate the unwavering commitment to this competitive process. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the CPA staff, Rakia Islam, Jillian Lang, Elizabeth Sanchez, Kenya Thompson, Lauren Hahn, and Liz Cook. Their dedication and hard work have been key to this year's funding round success, and I appreciate everything they have contributed. I would also like to thank the City Treasurer and CFO for their leadership, along with all city departments that continue to be valuable partners in this important work. I will now provide a detailed overview of the CPA process for the FY25 funding round. Additionally, I will introduce the slate of 52 projects recommended by the Community Preservation Committee and the Mayor. I would also address any questions you may have. So on this first slide, you'll see a breakdown of our funding allocation for the FY25 funding round. The initial funds totaled $33.7 million, and reverted funds from withdrawn projects or those completed under budget were reallocated across all categories. The committee now had $38.1 million in funding to allocate to projects. The committee has recommended an allocation of 50% to affordable housing, 25% to historic preservation, and 25% to open space and recreation. For those who may not be familiar with the Community Preservation Act, I will provide an overview in the upcoming slides to clarify the required rules outlined in the statute. Each year, 10% of funds must be allocated to 3 categories: historic preservation, affordable housing, and open space and recreation. Additionally, up to 5% may be spent on administrative cost. CPA funds are strictly reserved for capital projects and cannot be used for maintenance, operations, or programming. Recipients of these funds can include public, private entities, nonprofit, and for-profit organizations. The allowable uses of CPA funds are to acquire, create, preserve, and support community housing, acquire, create, preserve open space, rehabilitate and restore open space that was created or acquired with community preservation funds, acquire, create, and preserve, rehabilitate, and restore land for recreational use, acquire, preserve, rehabilitate, and restore historic resources. All proposed projects must meet the terms of these definitions and requirements stated in Chapter 44B. Understanding the allowable uses of CPA funds is essential for applicants to successfully complete their applications. To better prepare them, we prioritize early and frequent engagement and education about these allowable uses. Sorry. To date, Community Preservation Fund has funded 345 projects, awarding over $192 million in funding. We have preserved over 150 historical buildings, sites, vessels, and artifacts, planted more than 300 trees to enhance Boston's tree canopy, rehabilitated and created over 100 playgrounds and recreational spaces, established new urban farms and community gardens, preserved and developed nearly 2,200 units of affordable housing, including home ownership units, allocated $28 million to programs supporting first-time home ownership and preventing displacement. Since the creation of CPA, projects have been implemented in 23 neighborhoods between 2018 and 2024. This funding has supported 133 open space and recreation projects, 54 affordable housing projects, and 158 historic preservation projects to date. Here is a detailed breakdown of the total project funded amounts for each neighborhood. The top 7 neighborhoods, each with 15 or more projects, are as follows: Dorchester, Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, East Boston, Charlestown, Mattapan, and Back Bay. I would like to highlight that citywide projects encompass programs that benefit all Boston residents and have received the highest level of funding to date. Next, I would like to highlight our interactive map available on our website. This map allows the public to explore project descriptions and funding amounts for each CPA-funded project to date. We also have a new completed project guide on our website, allowing residents to explore the finished CPA projects. This next slide highlights the funding percentages and project percentages for each category in our last funding rounds. Affordable housing accounts for the highest percentage of funding at 52%, despite being the lowest project percentage. Historic preservation has the highest project percentage. Historic preservation has the highest project percentage, yet the smallest share of funding at 23%. Meanwhile, open space and recreation represents 38% of the projects and has received 25% of the total funding. For the last 8 funding rounds, the CPA committee has committed 50% allocation of funding towards affordable housing. To date, we only have 18 projects that have withdrawn. Some projects have withdrawn because they did not meet the readiness to proceed. They could not agree to the 15-year term of our grant agreement, or their long-term site control agreements did not align with our grant terms. Next, I would like to give an overview of our daily operations for the CPA office. We are a very small but efficient team. Over the last 4 funding rounds, we have significantly reshaped and improved our daily operations. Project managers monitor over 125 projects daily, site visits, monthly check-ins, monitoring construction timelines and processes. We have an efficient tracking system. We currently have 215 projects completed. 58 of those are repeat projects. Approximately over 80% of funding for 2018 to 2024 projects have been paid out. It does not mean that all projects are completed, but they have been distributed. Grant agreements and MOAs are approved in 2 to 3 weeks. Timely payments of grant installments to applicants are processed within 1 to 2 weeks. We are committed to building community relationships and maintaining potential project pipelines daily. We are fully staffed, and we have hired 2 new project managers in July of 2024, and I am aiming to fill the grant compliance position before the end of the year. Funding round preparation continues to be a success. Rolling eligibility determination form allows applicants to apply early. We have an upfront legal review as part of our eligibility process. We continue to increase early communication with potential applicants, which allows us time to verify proposed projects before they go before the committee. I would also like to now highlight our annual community engagement and education meetings, which are vital to the success of the grant program. We prioritize connecting with as many residents as possible. Some of our engagement achievements this year include hosting virtual information sessions in collaborations with 8 city council members, reaching a combined total of 165 constituents. Organized multiple information sessions and workshops throughout the spring and summer, engaging over 100 participants. We actively hold one-on-one meetings with potential applicants, aiming to support as many individuals and organizations as possible. Our CPA outreach efforts have reached over 465 community members in Boston and informed a large network of residents through social media. And we continue to build our engagement efforts through City of Boston social media channels, ensuring broader community engagement and visibility. We also delivered 2 CPA educational information sessions to youth groups, and our CPA annual presentation is accessible in 11 languages on our website. These achievements showcase our strong commitment to building community connections and offering valuable resources. Next, I'd like to give a highlight of the funding round this year. Over 100 eligibility forms and requests for proposals were submitted for review. 82 applications were presented to the Community Preservation Committee, totaling $54 million in funding requests. The CPC held 8 public meetings from September through January, totaling 14 hours of public discussion. 52 projects are being considered for the FY25 funding round, totaling over $38 million. Out of the 52 projects, 44 projects are going to be fully funded this year. When approved by the City Council, this funding round will bring Boston's total awards under the Community Preservation Act to more than $230 million, supporting 397 projects across the city since residents adopted CPA in 2016. This slide provides an overview of the applications received from each neighborhood this round. Notably, Roxbury had the highest number of recommended projects, followed by Dorchester. Unfortunately, 5 neighborhoods, Bay Village, Downtown, East Boston, Rosendale, and South Boston, do not have any projects recommended for funding this year. The Community Preservation Committee remains deeply committed to funding projects across all neighborhoods. The CPA staff will continue to identify projects that are ready to proceed. Finally, in 2022, the Community Preservation Committee approved the new Community Preservation Plan. This plan will guide the City of Boston's allocation of CPA funds for fiscal year 2023 to 2027. We recently updated the plan to include data from all 7 funding rounds from 2018 to 2024. The CPA office will continue to work with J.M. Golson, our consulting firm, to update the data for 2025 through 2027. We do have overall plans and specific goals for each category. We want to encourage the public to please visit our website to review our full 5-year plan. Next, I'd like to talk about the equity analysis done by J.M. Golson in our new CPA plan and our updated CPA plan. The following indicators were used to perform an equity analysis on the program. Overall, 228 projects totaling $129 million in CPA funds were awarded in areas that exceeded at least one of the 4 measurements listed below. These projects are in 15 neighborhoods within the City of Boston. There was an income indicator, percentage of households earning below the area median income. Over 65% of households earn below the AMI. Poverty indicator, percentage of households living below the poverty limit. Over 40% of households live below the poverty line. Language indicator, percentage of residents with language access needs. Over 6% of residents have language access needs. Demographics indicators, percentage of residents that identify as BIPOC. And BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous People of Color, includes Asian, Latinx, Pacific Islanders, Middle Eastern people. Over 65% of residents identify as BIPOC. For example, projects that were awarded in Lower Roxbury Census Tract were all 4 indicators measurements exceeded. 4 of these were affordable housing projects. In general, the census tracts with higher poverty rates are concentrated towards the city geographic center: Roxbury, South End, Mission Hill, Longwood, Fenway, Kenmore neighborhoods. The city has funded 12 out of 345 projects, 3.5% in census tracts with elevated poverty levels, where 40% of residents or more live below the poverty line. I do want to note that the Fenway Kenmore has a large student population. This may skew the results regarding poverty in this area because students receive financial support from their families or tuition assistance. So this may create an impression that there is a higher level of poverty in the community that actually exists. Most residents with language access needs live in Dorchester and East Boston. In Dorchester, at least 5% of residents speak Spanish, Vietnamese, Haitian Creole, and Portuguese Cape Verdean Creole. In East Boston, at least 5% of the residents speak Spanish or Arabic. The City of Boston has funded 143 of the 345 projects in neighborhoods with the highest language access needs. Neighborhoods where over 65% of residents identify as BIPOC includes East Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park. The city has funded 138 of 345 projects in neighborhoods where over 65% of residents identify as BIPOC. And to conclude, here is the slate of 52 projects recommended for funding this round. This was a highly competitive funding round once again, leading to tough decisions by the committee. So thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much for that amazing presentation, Director. So I'm going to open up to questions to my colleagues. I also want to recognize that we've been joined by my colleague, Councilor Braden. So thanks so much for joining us. All right, I'm going to kick it off to Councilor Murphy for your questions.
Thank you. Thank you for that in-depth explanation. It's always important, I think, for the public, ourselves, also everyone listening in about the, the rules and the constraints and all of the, boxes you have to check to even get these projects to be in front of you. And you mentioned it, and I just know firsthand from working with people who have, reached out for support and applying for these that you do good work, like, holding their hand through the process. And so I want to thank your team for that, because I think it's important also to, set those expectations for people. And I know our office over these years have often, talked to people about making sure your project isn't like just going to meet one need. If it can meet several different needs, and a better chance of being selected. The other comment, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because as an at-large city councilor, I'm advocating always, for all 22 neighborhoods, and district councilors are always great at, making sure that their neighborhood, when it comes to, capital budget, operational budget, but in this case, projects that will move forward. And you did touch on some that don't have any in this round. And I know in the past, sometimes it's because some neighborhoods haven't even submitted some, right? So if you just want to talk a little bit more, because I know that for me, there's no question about why, more just if you could explain a little bit about those neighborhoods. Some of them are smaller and may not have projects this round, may have had some in the past. But when it comes to deciding, do you kind of have a tally of past projects to kind of keep a sense of if every neighborhood is being represented when it can be?
Yes, absolutely. We do, step back and take a full view of the chart that I highlighted in the presentation to ensure that, the committee is having a full overview of all the projects that are coming in. And you are correct. Some neighborhoods just did not submit an application, so that's why they're not recommended for funding this round. Bay Village have consistently been that neighborhood where we've been stuck at just one project for the last 4 years or so. So we as a team just continue to go out during community engagement and really through our information sessions, really try to reach applicants. And some applicants are really working behind the scenes to get ready. They may not have been ready for the FY25 funding round, but may have a project coming in for FY26. And also due to the competitive nature of the funding round, some projects just did not move forward just because it was just such a competitive funding round, and their projects, it could have been going against a project that had more of a critical need, life safety, whereas we felt that this potential project could potentially come back the next funding round to receive funding. And we do encourage applicants to reapply if they haven't been recommended for funding, but our community engagement efforts will go out again this spring and summer to really reach out to those neighborhoods that didn't receive funding this round.
Did Bay Village in the past get one for the Coconut Grove?
They did.
Okay, so that's the
one.
It's soon to open, and that, yeah.
Yes.
Because I've been at every year of their memorial, and they do mention how the funding, so thank you for that. That's important that we get that done. Yeah, no other questions, just happy to be part of this, and once we get the list to support, because once you give the money, oftentimes too, we have to make sure we're, seeing it through for people. And if there's any support they need to make sure the projects get completed, we're there for that. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Council President?
Thank you. Glad that I was there to make questions. When I was originally rattling off numbers, I realized that I was rattling them off from the project and funding totals by neighborhood over the 6-year span. Still very impressive. I think every year, and you've done like such incredible work in the entire team on the language access front to make communities like more aware that these funds are available. If you could talk about like what gaps you see still exist, like in terms of language access, and the reason why language access is often a proxy for like information asymmetry and who knows about things and who doesn't know about things. So where are the gaps, and how do you think that we could? I know we did one in Haitian Creole. I know you've done some with, I don't know, Councilor Penn in Spanish. I don't know. I know that there have been efforts made, but how else can we continue to move that ball?
Yeah, I would agree that it's just continuing to be able to offer language access when we do our information sessions. This round we did host 6 meetings with Spanish interpretations and Portuguese.
Any in East Boston?
No, we did not. But
Okay.
but because our information sessions are so broad, we have people from different neighborhoods that come into our information sessions. I think the gap is that we do want to get out to more specific communities and to be able to specifically talk about CPA like we do in our information sessions. So being able to find those organizations would be helpful so we can bring in interpretation services. I mean, we do in all of our emails and newsletters have the kind of language access notification. So if folks are looking to reach out to us, it's in all the top 11 languages. So we use it as a resource for folks to be able to reach out. But the gap is really getting out to those spaces and having folks really understand a little bit more about our funding.
Thank you. Another question, Director Brown. Is it always a 50-25-25 breakdown? Is that just the metric that you've set?
That's what the committee has gone with.
So 50% affordable housing, 25% historic
Correct.
preservation, 25%
Yeah.
open space.
They do feel that housing is the biggest need throughout the city, as you stated in your opening remarks. And so for the last 8 funding rounds, housing has been a priority.
I do think it's really interesting that even with it being 50% housing, in order to have an impact, you have to fund fewer projects. I think there are 7 of them that are housing, but the panoply of things that exciting and diversity that you can fund under open space and historic preservation is really, I think, terrific. And then the last question is there a limit on the number of times that people, I know that you say you try to, we've had this conversation where you try to maybe don't apply 3 years consecutively, but are there guidelines, are there requirements? in terms of?
Yeah, so the only guidelines we have right now is if you have applied for funding in 3 consecutive years and received funding 3 consecutive years, we ask you to take a year off to leave room for another project to kind of get funded. But then the 5th year, you can go ahead and reapply again. But if you're not recommended for funding this funding round, you can immediately reapply in the next funding round to be considered for funding. So applicants do have a chance to reapply. Again, 215 projects, completed projects, 58 of those are repeat projects. So we do have projects coming back.
And there are some that have received it 3 times.
Exactly.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much, Director Brown, and thank you to the entire admin team for being here. Thank you to members of community. I always look forward to hearing how impactful and meaningful these are, so I'm sad that I won't be able to hear them, but I look forward to listening to the record and just really glad that we can support all of these really amazing projects. So thank you, Chair.
Of course, thank you, Council President. And something that I would encourage all my colleagues is that I know that Director Thaydeen always likes to ask for collaboration with our councilors, especially the district councilors, and you're in the specific neighborhoods to do some community listening sessions. That's one way for us to help them. I also want to recognize that Councilor Weber has joined us, so thank you so much for being here. All right, Councilor Braden, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good to see you all. It's always like Christmas. And thank you, Director, for your great team of really professional work that you do and so efficient. And all the outreach that you do is really important. I'm still trying to drum up business for you in Alston, Brighton, but you know, this year we've got 3 projects. This is good. I'm curious about the digital preservation, the East Ender. I didn't even know that was something that you do, because I know we have some historic newspapers in Alston, Brighton that don't exist anymore. But tell me a little bit about that.
So the West Ender project is they want to be able to archive some materials that's within to preserve for history. Mm-hmm. So we are giving them funding to be able to do that. So they can outsource a company to be able to help them kind of archive all these materials. And so that is an allowable use under CPA to kind of preserve this history. Mm-hmm. And so that is kind of the full scope of project work for this project. And so we're excited about that. This is our 3rd project that's similar to this that we funded.
That's great. I didn't know about that. And
yeah.
And you know, we're coming up with some big anniversaries in the Boston. 250 for the Revolution and 400 years for the city. So
yes,
very, very exciting. Then I have a question, Kathy. The McKinney Park. Have we got enough money in the kitty to get it across the line?
See you with the 2026, FY 2026 budget. So we're hoping that will close the gap and we'll be able to break ground on that in FY 26.
Very good, thank you. And then the home ownership project. We've got some historic preservation at the PSF school building, which is fabulous. And then the other one is the housing, the project at Seattle Street. That's good, excellent. And it's a home ownership project, which we're very happy about. We don't have enough home ownership opportunities. That's wonderful. That's it for me. I am very pleased with all of these projects, and please thank you for all your work, and I look forward to the next round. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Weber.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm glad that this is not an April Fool's joke. That we actually, I mean, maybe somebody else made that joke already, but it's good to see this kind of wonderful thing and like Christmas, Hanukkah wrapped together. I guess, I don't know who could answer this. My office, we supported 11 projects. 4 of those are funded, amazing. I'm going to go over those in a bit. But what can we, for like the Footlight Club and JP, they're looking for funds. Like, what do we tell them for the next round? Like, how to, or even anyone who's applied in the past who didn't get the funding.
Sure. So every project that was not recommended for funding this round, if we haven't already, we have set up a meeting with them and had a conversation about whether they want to reapply and discuss if, their application had any concerns. And if it didn't, and majority of, the projects, they didn't have any significant concerns. It was just due to the competitive nature of the funding round. We had 82 applications with, 54 million in requests and only $38 million to give away. So we just couldn't fund all the projects that came before us. But we do work with folks and have conversations with them after each funding round if they were not recommended.
Okay, great. And then, so in terms of projects that were funded, Eggleston Square Peace Garden is great. Do you know what's the sort of timeline there?
Sure, I'll start and then I'll have Kathy kind of finish. So this project is really unique. The Boston Acquisition Fund helped with the acquisition of this site, and then this project came in from the Parks Department to fund the construction of the site. And so the goal is that we're waiting for the conservation restriction to be completed, to turn over, and if this project is approved, we'll turn over the funds to the Parks Department to begin the construction on that site. And I'll turn it over to Kathy for more comments.
Thank you. So once we get that conservation restriction filed with the state, which we think might take 6 months or so, we will be selecting a designer and then working through the design and construction process. We want to work closely with the Eggleston Square community because they've been so invested in this space, and really co-create this space, a space that will work for them, and that will continue to beautify the Eggleston Square neighborhood.
Okay, yeah, I know people are so excited about the acquisition. We were out there with the mayor last,
October, maybe?
fall, yeah, and planted some tulips. I guess that's probably coming up already. The other project I wanted to ask about is the Sophia Snow Place. I've spent a lot of time there, campaigning, and since I've been elected, and the residents are great, but I know this has been a long time coming also. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So Sophia Snow Place, this is the third grant that they're receiving. And so we're excited. They're just continuing to build out the new garden space and near the site. And so we're just really excited the committee's really excited to support this project again in West Roxbury to continue to build this beautiful recreational space for the larger community.
Okay, well, it's a great project. Shout out to Ruth Klepper, who's a resident there, who's been a great advocate for fixing up the area and getting the garden completed. That's all I have. Really, it's great to see everybody here and to be part of this today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, so I guess I'll go. I just want to start off by saying just thank you once again for doing this presentation and for selecting such amazing projects across the city. This isn't in my district, but I'm glad to see that the Hurley K-8 school playground is getting renovated. It's where I went to elementary school, and the playground is still the same as when I was there. So I'm glad that that's getting renovated. And I'm curious to know, for the Hyde Park SDA Church handicap ramp, I'm not curious, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Because I remember reaching out to you about their interest in doing this project, and I know that there's a need for ADA accessibility at this specific church in Hyde Park. So I'm just glad to see them on this list and that they're going to be receiving this assistance to be able to move forward. So just thank you for considering them. And I know a lot about CPA, so I don't have a lot of questions as the chair, but I always like to ask this question for the audience or anyone that's watching in the video. Like, if you are interested in applying for next year, what is the process? When does that start?
Sure. So our team is gearing up after this funding round to head out in spring throughout the summer to have our information sessions and host workshop virtually and hopefully to do some in person. But we want to reach out to everyone. August 29th at 5 p.m. Is the deadline to submit an eligibility determination form. So the eligibility determination form is the first step to be considered to move forward. After you submit an eligibility form, It is reviewed by the staff and legal counsel, and then we can invite you in to do a formal application the first week in October. You would have approximately 6 weeks to complete the application, and that will be due back in November. And then that application review will take place from December until the second week in February. The committee makes their recommendation on the slate of projects. So for folks who are interested in the FY26 funding round, please attend our information sessions. Call our office. You can talk to us one-on-one with our project managers and our operations team. We're happy to kind of talk through some of the projects and help to see if your project falls within the allowable uses of the statute.
That's amazing. You said August 29th?
August 29th at 5 p.m. is the deadline for the eligibility form to be submitted.
Okay, that's an important date then. We'll make sure
Yes.
to blast that out. Okay. Do any of my colleagues have any follow-up questions? No? Good? All right, I'm going to open up the floor to public testimony now. So thank you all so much for being here in attendance. I really appreciate it for those both in person and virtually. When your name is called, please come down to one of the two podiums and state your name, neighborhood, and/or organization affiliation. Please speak into the microphone and please keep your comments to 2 minutes. For those testifying on Zoom, please accept the message asking you to be promoted to panelists when it appears. Okay, I will be introducing the first person, which is Ronnie Collins. Rodnell Collins, I think. Yes, that's appropriate. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Is this
sir.
good? Yes, my name is Rodnell P. Collins. I am the owner and project executive for the Malcolm X Ella Collins House. And for the record, why I am here, I thank you, Council, and members of the Mayor, Michelle Wu's office, and of CPA staff. As I said, I'm here for the record to put this in your record here at the City Council. As I understand, last year, City Council mentioned something about preservation and restoration of the Malcolm X Ella Collins House. And I'm asking you to take consideration of that for the archaeological artifacts that are there, over 18,000 artifacts that the city and the Commonwealth was involved with. Those artifacts in the ground exterior have to be protected, and we need the funding for that. We understand the policy and procedure. Now, I'm not here to talk about funding today, but what I wanted to let you know, what I could not do before, was the U.S. Department of Interior. We've been working with the former President Joseph Biden's initiative to preserve and tell the stories of Native, European, and African American history through land and water conservation. That was his initiative, President Biden. We were working with Brenda Mallory, who was appointed by the Senate of the U.S. as advisor to the President on environmental quality and preservation and restoration through land and water conservation. I have been working with them, and even under this President administration, regardless of what you hear publicly, that is still moving forward. Slow as it is, but I wanted to have that into your record. We are working with the Department of Interior, now National Park Service. There are 3 sites in America that have been designated. The Malcolm X Ella Collins House here in Boston, Massachusetts, one of them. The other one is in New York City, Teresa Hotel. That project, with the funding from the National Parks and private corporation, that is being done as we speak. The other project to be memorialized in honor of Malcolm X is the Meridian Hill Malcolm X Park in Washington, D.C., which has the largest man-made waterfall in the nation. That waterfall needs a lot of work. Like here in Boston, it all requires work, community involvement, and it brings a lot of tourism to this city and state. And Malcolm X Park, which is adjacent to Malcolm X House, there's been a lot of inquiry about the house. It's been in magazines, publication, and just recently in National Geographic Travelers, January and February's edition, we are in there talking about the history and the community of Roxbury and Boston and its significance. You have a lot here. and it's recognized worldwide. I'm not just talking about here in the city of Boston, the Commonwealth, or the nation. It is very well recognized. People want to come. They want to know this history of the Native people, European and African Americans, their involvement. So we need to work together in some shape, form, or fashion. And all I'm asking here to do is to consider, I know there's policy and procedure, and I understand that, but we need to have a talk so we can move forward, because I am being inundated with, in fact, I'm meeting with this week with your Arts and Culture Department as to how, and to the good graces of Mayor Michelle Wu, but I often think of Mayor Thomas Menino. He approached my mother, Malcolm X's sister, and myself. He had an initiative in this city to incentivize African American people to stay in their home, take care of that. That was his initiative to incentivize. Well, we have come from 1998 to where the Roxbury community has increased. At some time, I often think that maybe it's too good a thing, because 20 years ago, you could buy a property in Roxbury. Same spot, same location, same square footage, 40, 50, maybe maximum $150,000. That very same property that has been taken care of, it has increased the value of those stakeholders, people who've worked all their lives. And I want you to put this in your record. Because of the former late Honorable Mayor Thomas Menino, an initiative to incentivize, along with his commissioner at that time, Eid of IST. This has happened. This is real. This is now. So let's continue that working together. Let's figure it out. And on that, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. Councilman.
Thank you so much. Okay, do we have a Cheryl Dickinson?
Good afternoon, and to our Honorable Mayor Wu, members of the City Council, our neighbors, and particularly to the members of the Community Preservation Commission. We thank you for both your financial and your moral support. Briefly, I'd like to share with you the concept of how this idea of building Craig Park, where it came from, and how you all helped us to be where we are now, which is that construction is well underway, and we're getting a lot of attention. 9 years ago, a grassroots group of neighbors decided that something had to be done about what was becoming a nagging eyesore in the neighborhood. At one of the most visible and highly trafficked areas of the South End stood an overgrown parcel of land that had become a repository for trash and used needles and held the potential for vagrancy and rat infestation. Meanwhile, the space was named to honor Ellen Rowan Cricht, an internationally known African-American artist, whose home was just a few doors away from the site. The more that our group learned about Ellen Cricht and the growing problem at the park site, the more we decided that something really did have to be done, but our working group had no clear idea of what that might be. Thus, we asked our community. The working group surveyed residents to learn two things. What features would they like to see at the site, and how should the site be used? Shade in a place of respite was the overwhelming #1 feature requested, and respondents wanted to use the site to gather and to honor the accomplishments of Ellen Cricht. This information shaped the mission of the Friends of Cricht Park. Fast forward to today, and not only is the construction underway, but committees are planning these events that can start as early as this fall. #1, community picnics where neighbors can get to know one another. Storytelling by twilight, which are family evenings where Ellen Cricht's mentees and longtime friends can share the stories of who Ellen Cricht was, the man and his art. Add to that the prospect of neighbors teaching youngsters how to play chess on game tables designed for chess and checkers. Over the course of the past 9 years, the mantra of the Friends of Cricht Park has been more than a park, building a community. And due to the contributions of neighbors, businesses, foundations, and most importantly, the residents of Boston and the Community Preservation Commission, the mantra is becoming a reality. Special thanks goes to Ed Flynn and Representatives Aaron Michaelwitz and John Moran for their unflinching support. This latest CPA award brings us closer to the finish line, and this coming fall, we anticipate to say to all of you, meet us at the park. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a Rob Whitney?
It's a page, but it's brief. Councilors, good afternoon. I'm Rob Whitney. I am an at-large member of the Boston Community Preservation Committee. I'm here today to strongly support the City Councilor's consideration and approval of the appropriation order in the amount of $38,148,052.00 from the fiscal year 2025 Community Preservation Fund revenues for the many worthy and important community preservation projects that have been recommended by the Community Preservation Committee this year. As you know, the Community Preservation Committee is made up of a diverse group of 9 Boston residents. 5 members are from various Boston agencies, including the Housing Authority, the Planning Department, the Parks Commission, the Boston Conservation Commission, and the Landmarks Commission. And then also there are 4 at-large members of the committee, and I'm one of them, from Beacon Hill, representing Boston's communities and varied neighborhoods. This past year, the committee members met frequently to make decisions about the community preservation funding priorities, which activities included approving an annual administrative budget, which we have coming up again soon, and reviewing scores of projects seeking funding in 3 areas: affordable housing, historic preservation, and open space and recreation. All 3 of my own passions as well. The process for choosing the projects that should be funded and the amounts to be spent on the project has been an active and considered one. The committee members worked very collegially and diligently in this process, actively discussing the particulars of the many projects that were brought before us by the incredibly able and dedicated CPA professional staff. Our discussions were sometimes robust, with a passion that reflects the committee members' thoughtful approach to this important task before us, that is, choosing projects that were worthy of funding this year under the Community Preservation Act. But the committee members' passion also demonstrated our collective commitment to this process and our joint determination that the community preservation funds should be well spent. And if the City Council approves this appropriation order, you can all rest assured that these funds will be very well spent throughout our Boston communities this coming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rob. Okay, next up we have Rahul Ramesh.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair, City Council members, CPA committee members, CPA staff, and City Council staff. My name is Rahul Ramesh. I'm a project manager in the Planning and Development Department at the Boston Housing Authority. And I really want to thank you guys for considering the MLK Towers outdoor space project improvements. And I also want to recognize some of the amazing work of everyone that was involved in that project, including the MLK Towers Tenant Task Force. Like, none of this would not happen without resident and community member engagement. So we're really grateful to have a strong tenant task force there. All of the residents of MLK Towers, the CPA staff and my colleagues at the BHA, the dedicated staff at the Trust for Public Land, who is a national nonprofit who has been our partners in this, and then all of the state and local elected officials and their staff who provided letters of support. And thank you for everyone who has given their thoughts, visions, time, and effort for this project. The MLK Towers outdoor space improvements, if awarded, will include vegetable gardens and raised planters, outdoor seating, a senior-friendly outdoor workout area, a walking path, and green infrastructure elements. The outdoor space right now is really well used, well liked, but it really needs some of these improvements so that it continues to thrive in the future. And we at the BHA have been planning to hire an architect and a designer for the MLK Towers Outdoor Space Project very soon to begin the development process. And this project is just really near and dear to my heart. It's one of the first projects that I started to work on at the BHA, and to see it progress from resident community meetings, block parties, to a concept design, and now seeking funding awards is like a wonderful and exciting outcome. And again, I thank you for this opportunity to speak on the behalf of the project, and thank you for the support of this project. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next up, Heather Govern.
Good afternoon, councilors.
Good afternoon.
My name is Heather Govern, and I'm here to testify in support of the Hurley K-8 schools playground renovation. I am a parent of 2 children at the Hurley School, and I'm the vice president of the Neighborhood Partners for the Hurley School, which is a nonprofit devoted to raising money for the school. Hurley School is located in the South End. The current playground is over 30 years. I'm not sure, Councillor, if you were on that playground 30 years ago, but it currently has numerous safety issues. The play structure is in pretty disrepair. The wood chips across the entire playground don't provide a safe surface for the children. And even most troublesome, there are hypodermic needles that are regularly found hidden among the wood chips. This project, if qualified and reaches agreement from the council and from the mayor's office, would install a colorful, permeable playground surface so water infiltrates. We'll have a multi-sport half court, which will be the first time for that, and a new playground structure, of course, for climbing and playing. The Hurley School's outdoor space is not just used by the Hurley students, but also local families who have children attending other schools, but they use the playground on the weekends. And now the only problem is if we can get the dog walkers out of the playgrounds and off the soccer field. But my point here is that both students who attend the Hurley School and the surrounding community will benefit from this much-needed improvement to the playground. And the Hurley School is one of 5 bilingual elementary schools in the BPS system, one of 5 bilingual Spanish and English schools in the BPS system. And the school boasts 78% students of color. 68% of families identify as Latinx. 75% of students are classified as high needs, and 40% of students are English language learners. 60% of Hurley students come from families that qualify as low income. These children deserve a welcoming, clean, and safe outdoor environment, and a place to play and run and just be children outdoors, especially in this technology-obsessed age that is causing more children to retreat inside with their screens. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And just let me know when the ribbon cutting is going to be.
Okay, I will.
All right. Let me just make sure. All right. We have in another list, we have Reverend Dr. Jay Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jay Williams. I'm the lead pastor of Old West Church in the West End, which is part of the multi-site Union Combined Parish. And our Brighton site actually stands ready for potential future funding for affordable housing as we try to respond with the resources that we have in order to meet some of our cities and nation's greatest needs. I'm really just happy to be here. Testimony is aligned with the work that I do on Sunday. It's important that we share our public stories, our stories, sacred stories publicly. So really, I just rise to say thank you and to say so publicly, particularly during a time when public discourse is so contentious and nasty. Just simply to say thank you to the CPA office under the wonderful leadership of Director Thaddean Brown, Truly extraordinary team, thoughtful, responsive, professional, and thorough. And so we're grateful. Also grateful to the Community Preservation Committee, to the mayor, to the council, and to, of course, the taxpayers and residents of Boston who make these things possible. So Old West Church is a national landmark, and we've applied under the Historic Preservation funding round, particularly for life safety and accessibility concerns. That will help, that will restore the main entrance, granite steps, which are treacherous. You come right out the sanctuary onto the stairs, so it's dangerous. Of course, in addition to the stairs, retaining wall and ornamental fence. Our original building, as we approach the 250th, our original building was actually torn down in 1776 in the Siege of Boston. And our current building, built in 1806, is one of just 2 remaining original edifices in the West End. And our building actually was a stop on the Underground Railroad, and we continue this work of liberation and providing safety and safe harbor, particularly for the most vulnerable. We're the home to the Sunrise Learning Academy. We are the host to the Monday night dinner, which provides warm, home-cooked meals 52 Mondays a year to some of our most vulnerable, unhoused neighbors. We host student groups. We're an arts and cultural center. We have the world-renowned Opus 55 Fisk organ at Old West Church. And we've converted already our yard into an open space, into a food forest, which gathers community in order to do the work of being connected to the ground. So, in the midst of all that is happening, sanctuary is important. So we are really, really grateful for the CPA, for Director Brown's team, because these funds, right, they're lifelines for organizations like Old West Church, which are seeking to do the work of promoting life, flourishing, and liberation. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for the work you do. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, next up we have Reverend Joshua Kahan.
Good afternoon. There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Josh Cahan. I'm the pastor at Ruggles Baptist Church. Cahan, that's all right.
Sorry about that.
No one knows what to do with it. No, you're fine. You're good. Ruggles Baptist Church, and we are in the Fenway neighborhood, Audubon Circle. And I just wanted to thank the committee, Thadeen, your staff, the CPC, the volunteers who voted, the city councilors as well. You all are considering investing in our building, our historic building, the historic Second Church in Boston. But it's in the brick and mortar, helping to make it watertight. But it's more than that. It's really an investment in a few areas of our community. First, in our outreach and service to families in the Fenway and Audubon Circle area. There we have a weekly toddler play group that's no cost for kids parents to be able to bring their kids to play and to meet one another. We also do an annual kids camp that is also no cost for parents to bring their kids and to drop them off and to learn. And but not only just for serving families, it's also serving the community as well. We've got a mental health counseling center that offers a sliding scale, limited fees for people who need it as well. We the Audubon Circle Neighborhood Association uses our building for meetings, and also this building and organization really fosters diversity in the neighborhood. We've got more than 24 different Christian ministries from all different kinds of denominations and ethnicities and backgrounds, many of them not English speaking, who use our building for different meetings. We also host an English as a second language conversation group as well. And even our own church community that meets on Sunday mornings is just full of a diversity of what we believe the kingdom of God should look like, of people from every nation, tribe, and tongue and language. So I just want to thank you just to share a little bit more about what that investment is in, more than just a building. Certainly our building, we're thankful for that, but through the building, an investment in the community. So just thanks for doing that. We're so grateful for all of you.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Is there I believe a Josh Waxman?
I'll be brief. Just wanted to echo the spirit of gratitude. I come both as a taxpayer in Dorchester and as the chief operating officer at Camp Harborview, one of the crown jewel youth organizations in the city. And I would just say, Lisa Fortenberry, who's sitting in the audience, who's our executive vice president, we were just saying it's so nice to be in the spirit of government working for people and investing in people. In our case, investing in 1,000 young people this summer with a free, incredible summer camp experience. This investment is going to go to additional and much needed shading structures to grow the size of our arts and theater program on the island for our young people. So we're deeply grateful. And again, it's nice to be in the spirit of government amidst all that's going on in the world with the incredible CPA staff who's doing incredible work to invest in what's needed in our city. So just very grateful from Camp Harborview and the investment that this will have on our young people in the city, and also as a taxpayer seeing dollars get put to good use. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I've heard great things about Camp Harborview. Okay. Forgive me if I mispronounce this. Gordana Mikagni?
Hello. It's very hard to pronounce, but I'm Jordana Makanyi, and I am the head of special collections and university archivist at Northeastern University, and we collect and make available the history of underrepresented communities in Boston. And I'm so thankful for the CPA staff and committee for considering us, because we don't exactly fit into a box of historic structures, but we do carry and care about a lot of Boston's deep, underrepresented and community histories. And one of those histories I'm super excited to bring out and to share with everyone is the story of Elma Lewis and the Elma Lewis School of Fine Arts and the National Center for African American Artists, all of which are contained in the archives that we intend to digitize and make available, and have students come and use it, and including a lot of Boston Public School students, and to be able to tell this really rich and deep history of Boston's Black community. So thank you very much for CPA, sorry he's left, but for the committee and the staff for shepherding us through this process, especially for folks who don't exactly know what we're doing with all of their forms. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Okay, next up, Jennifer Newman.
Good afternoon. I'll also be brief as I echo so much of what other folks have said about our deep gratitude for CPA. My name is Jennifer Newman, and I'm the executive director of Beacon Hill Friends House, a Quaker center for community based in Beacon Hill since 1957. We are a 21-person communal residence, the spiritual home of a Quaker meeting, and a community gathering place used by local organizations, neighbors, and grassroots groups from across the city. Thanks to past CPA support, we've already been able to repair our rear roof deck and stabilize a historic masonry beam, critical investments that have helped preserve the structure and improve public access, and we're so deeply grateful for that support. This year's project is reinforcing aging steel support columns and joists in our cellar. And these supports stabilize some of our most used community spaces, our parlor and our meeting room. This repair is a foundational step in making sure that we can continue to serve the public safely for years to come. And we truly could not take on the projects of this scale without the CPA support. And this investment from the city makes this possible, and it also signals that preserving accessible community-serving places really deeply matters in this city. So we're grateful for our opportunity to partner with the city again, and are especially grateful to the Community Preservation Commission, to the committee, to Thaddean Brown, to Jillian Lang, and the full CPA team for your thoughtful stewardship. And we're also grateful for our continued partnership with City Council and Councilor Durkin as we move forward in this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up, we have Katie.
Hello all, and hello city councilors, hello CPA staff. I'm Katie Ketches. I'm from Hill House. I'm also a resident of Beacon Hill, and we are so grateful to have been recommended for a CPA grant this year. Thousands of Bostonians come through the firehouse on Beacon Hill, where Hill House is, every year, starting at newborns and their parents and their caretakers attending baby music classes, all the way up through the seniors who show up every Wednesday morning for a strength training class. It's really remarkable to live in a neighborhood that invests so much in the future of families. The restoration of the roof at the firehouse will ensure both the longevity of this very important historic building and the sustainability of Hill House, whose mission is to be your backyard in the city. Thank you to everyone who has supported us. We are so grateful.
Thank you so much, Katie. Okay, Jeffrey?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Gagno. I'm a Dorchester resident. I'm a historic preservation consultant who's worked with many historic sites across the city to help them spend CPA funds wisely over the 7 or 8 rounds, depending on how you count so far. And I'm also honored to serve on the Boston Landmarks Commission. I just wanted to make a quick personal comment and then read into the record a comment from an entity in this round that wasn't able to make it either in person or virtually today. So first of all, Fadine and CPA staff, thank you so much for all the work you do. You're only getting better and stronger. Every round gets better and more easy to deal with. And I think that the users of the program appreciate how thoughtful every aspect of this process is. And that the fact that there's always someone you can call or email for help of any kind is really beneficial. So congratulations for all of your great work, and we look forward for this to go on forever. $230 million given out over the previous 7 rounds. If we had adopted CPA 10 years earlier, we could have had that amount again. So we're lucky we have it now, and we thank you for all the hard work that you do. The second half of my personal comment is that, and this came up in some of the introductory remarks, the high percentage of religious congregations that apply for CPA historic preservation grants. And I think there's 2 important points to make about that. The first is that these buildings are some of the most architecturally significant in the city. They often have high levels of historic designation, but they also have high levels of need. They're complicated buildings, they're large buildings, they're made of masonry. With unfortunately dwindling congregation sizes over the years, there haven't been the people or the resources to adequately maintain them. So they all have a lot of need. And since there hasn't been a significant source of funding to help them until CPA came along, we've got decades, if not generations, of built-up need for these types of structures. The second part of that is that you heard today all the people talk about the amazing things that happen in these buildings outside of whatever their religious congregations do. There's daycare, there's AA meetings, there's mental health services, there's arts programs, there's many other social service uses that happened in these buildings. And if it weren't for the congregation supporting them, where would these things happen? Would the city build new facilities to make these things happen? I don't think so. So I think that it's really important to keep in mind that CPA, A, needs to support historic preservation to the full extent that it can, and B, when it comes to supporting projects at historic houses of worship, that they continue to do that and to continue the brave stance of doing that. So thank you very much. And then just quickly, for one of the projects I'm working with, First Parish Church in Dorchester was unable to attend today, but on behalf of Ardis Vaughn, the treasurer of First Parish, she says, along with the First Parish congregation and the diverse group of community organizations who use our historic building as a site of crucial programs that serve our Dorchester community, I would like to thank the Community Preservation Act staff, the Community Preservation Committee, and Mayor Wu for supporting our important project and for recommending that our CPA Historic Preservation grant request be fully funded in the 2025 grant round. Our Unitarian Universalist congregation is one of the oldest religious congregations in Boston, and our current meeting house, built in 1896, is actually our 5th structure. Perched atop Meeting House Hill, our church is a highly visible landmark. First Parish is home not only to a thriving congregation, but it serves as a busy center of hope and positive activities, offering critical services and programming that benefit our Dorchester community. A 2025 CPA grant will be used to restore an entry porch and to make much-needed accessibility upgrades to the building. We would like to thank the CPA staff and the Community Preservation Committee for their support of our restoration project, and we respectfully urge the Boston City Council to lend its support and to vote to approve this important grant. Thank you very much, and we hope that the City Council will support this important project at First Parish Church in Dorchester. So thanks again for everything you do with AD and staff, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for being here. And thank you all for those that showed up in person to testify. We now be transitioning over to virtual testimonies. Again, if you hear your name be called out, please accept the invite to become a panelist. The first one I see on the list is a Louis Auxnes. Okay. And for the person that is titled as iPhone, can you please write down your complete name? All right, do we have a Jacqueline McNeil? Perfect.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just want, I guess I'm echoing what many have said already regarding, CPA and all of that done for the city of Boston. And we're just grateful of its inception and pray for its longevity and growth. Also, the gentleman that just spoke about, the historicalness and the intricacies of upkeep of those buildings, church buildings in the city is, quite an undertaking. And our church, Greater Love Tabernacle, is one of those churches that, we've done so much for the inside of the building, but we are so grateful that CPA has helped us, tackle, the outside as well. And kind of blend into the neighborhood, which is a hotspot area of, Talbot Ave, Blue Hill Ave. And we're amongst many other organizations that have been able to, do some upkeep, the various parks, the Sportsman's Tennis Club. And so it does a lot for that hotspot community to see that the city is investing in buildings like ours. And for all that we provide as far as, many, many funerals. And some of these are, violent funerals and very hot kind of, attendance and being able to navigate those things, memorials, blessedly weddings, baptisms, communal dinners. I mean, there's much that we do and much that we desire to do and continue to do in our community. But additionally, like the gentleman spoke about Menino's initiative about people of color keeping their homes, it should be added Black churches as well. It is very sad to see that there's many congregations losing their church homes and that they're becoming, condos and other things of that nature. And it's, it's a lost investment for the congregation. It takes away from their legacy. And so, being in a community where where we were located was like a family sort of oriented area. And so you're helping us maintain that and build that, even with the changing of the, demographics of the area. So we just want to thank you all and hope that, we can continue to see, this program grow. And, we pray that we were able to complete the elevation, the other two elevations of our building and, be a positive, pinnacle place in the community as a CPA recipient. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Do we have a Deacon Thomas Scott?
He's from the same.
Deacon Scott, you have to accept to be promoted to panelist. Kia sub did, maybe. All right, in the meantime, let's head over with John Smalls. I see a John Anderson.
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes. Great, great. Thank you so much. I've been the head of the restoration for Arlington Street Church for the last 8 years, and I can't tell you how much gratitude we have and appreciation we have for CPA's consideration and generosity to our building. Our building is on the corner of Arlington and Boylston Street. It was built in 1861 of brownstone. And brownstone left out in the rain deteriorates very, very quickly. It's very expensive for us to keep up, and we're a very small congregation that does a lot for the community. We have a Friday night supper program. We have an Asian food pantry called Rice Sticks and Tea. We have a cultural, Latinx cultural organization that puts on performances. So we really have a lot of spheres of neighborhood interaction. And again, just to reiterate what other people say, we sort of go beyond church. We're not just a one-day-a-week place, and we really feel like we're being supported by the community, knowing how important we are as a national, state, and local landmark. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for testifying. Okay, let's go with Victor Price.
Hi, my name is Victor Price. I'm the senior pastor of Second Church in Dorchester. And we have a very diverse community. We have very diverse congregation, but above all, we have a very unique historic property. It is National Register designated property, Second Church. It is about the second oldest surviving wooden church in Boston. And we want to say thanks again to CPA and thanks to the community, preservation community, and Mayor and all those that are supporting and the council. We want to say thanks to you for your consideration for the funding. One of the things that will be significant in terms of the funding for this round is the fact that not only are we restoring the steeple on that historic building, which is so significant for our community, but also there is an 1856 clock that was given to the congregation by Walter Baker from the Brecker Chocolate Factory. And there is also an 1816 Paul Revere and Sons bell that is in the steeple. And we are hoping to restore that to working condition, right? It has been long dormant for many centuries. We're hoping to restore it. Our concern is to be able to continue to demonstrate within community how significant history is, but to provide a space where community can be educated, informed, and our church has several programs, and we are really trying to be a community church. It's a historic building. It's a landmark, and it has significant history in it. And we thank you so very much for your support, because your support will help us keep history alive, but also to bring some more value to Dorchester and to allow Dorchester to be a place where people can come and be able to come in communication with history, not only the modern experience of what is the multicultural we have now, but having a history that they can identify with and learn from. So again, we want to say thanks to you for your support, and especially to CPA and for Fideen for being so much helpful to us as we seek to restore and to maintain that building. Thanks again. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your testimony and your work.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have a Pam Milani. You may be on mute.
Sorry, my apologies.
No worries.
Okay now?
Yes.
Okay. I thank you, Chair Pepin and counselors and staff, and to Director Brown. This is Pam Mullaney. I'm representing Friends of McKinney Park in Allston Brighton. We are very grateful to the Boston Parks and Recreation Department for making a successful application to the Community Preservation Committee, and very happy that the Community Preservation Committee has recommended funding in the amount of $187,000 for shade structure infrastructure that will complement the planned renovation of McKinney Park. McKinney Park serves as the front yard of the Boston Housing Authority's Faneuil Gardens community, which it abuts, and which will soon be redeveloped and expanded. The Allston Brighton neighborhood is very excited to welcome new families into our community. The Parks Department's planning process for the renovation of McKinney Park proceeded simultaneously with the community engagement process for the redevelopment of Faneuil Gardens. The two planning processes complemented each other and resulted in a park design that is truly responsive to the needs of neighbors who live in this environmental justice community. The CPA funds will allow for the construction of shade structures at the entrance of the park on Faneuil Street and at the ball field dugouts. The shade structures will improve the quality of the user experience of the park. Allston Brighton Little League offers t-ball, baseball, and softball thanks to hardworking volunteers in the Allston Brighton community, and the shade structures will be much appreciated by players and coaches. The Parks Department team of Director Baker Eclipse and Project Manager Nellie Ward have done outstanding work moving the project forward. However, as Councilor Radin has pointed out earlier during this hearing, a funding gap still exists, even as both Boston College and Harvard University have made significant grants towards the capital improvements, and we have CPA support now close at hand. Friends of McKinney Park eagerly await the release of the mayor's budget this month, and we will be advocating for full funding of a park master plan that has been in the works since 2016. Thank you again to Director Brown and to all those present today.
Thank you so much, Pam. Okay, do we have a Shayna Corman Houston?
Hello, thank you for having me this afternoon. I appreciate being here and thank you to the council. The Planning Office for Urban Affairs and the Caribbean Integration Community Development are so excited to tell you about 150 River Street in Mattapan. The site, which is currently under construction, is comprised of 30 units of affordable senior housing on a long vacant lot that was owned by the City of Boston. Together, PUA and CICD are reactivating this property and converting it into restful, regenerative, and affordable senior building, allowing Boston residents to comfortably age in their community. And I'm thrilled to tell you that we expect to have the building ready for folks to move in this fall. So thank you so much to the city for all your substantial support on the project thus far. So site design at River Street was intended to leverage the natural environment. The property backs up on the Neponset River, and it's truly beautiful over there. So ensuring access to on-site services, to passive open space, and to community spaces was very important to us. So this proposal here today is requesting funds to support that element of the project. PUA and CICD are proposing a 1,000 square foot community garden with raised beds, benches, and other amenities for our senior residents who are aging in place, with the idea of providing recreation immediately on site, as well as for the neighbors in a traditionally underserved community. The garden will immediately become a third place where the community can come together and interact more than they have been historically able to, since the site has been vacant more than 25 years. The combination of our housing and this garden should transform the lot from a burden to the neighborhood into a significant benefit and a net positive for the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time because I know we still have them. iPhone number 169. Okay. Well, I don't think I'm missing anyone else for virtual testimony, but if anyone else comes up, let me know. Okay. So, seeing as my colleagues are no longer with us, I will motion us to closing remarks. I'll give the floor to you all for any closing statements.
I'll just like to say I want to thank the City Council and you, Councilor Pepin, just for each year just being able to host us and for the CPA office to tell you about the great work that we've done. I want to thank all the applicants, even though they're gone now, but those that were here and joining online for their commitment and dedication to this process. And so we're thankful. We hope the City Council will recommend this slate and move it forward. And we look forward to coming before you again for the next funding round.
I would like to just say thank you for having me here. It was such a love fest. It was so exciting. But I do want to take the opportunity, like everybody else, to thank Thadeen and her team to continue to support the Mayor's Office of Housing, affordable housing across the city. They have been a fantastic partner, and we look forward to having another round. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. What I'll say is that I think what was beautiful about today's hearing is that you really got to hear voices from all over the city and how everyone is doing their part of just making our city a lot more accessible, protecting our open spaces, and creating more affordable housing throughout the entire city. And it just shows that everyone has a role to play, and you are a very instrumental part of that. And I think that all the testimonies that we heard today, there's a reason why everyone thanked the CPA staff. Because I know that you are a very welcoming environment, very welcoming department. Thank you for all the work you all do. I'm truly honored to be the chair of this committee, because I know we've joked around about it feels like Christmas here, but honestly, in this day and age of government, it does feel good to know that there's still a lot of good being done, especially here in the city of Boston. So thank you all for the work you do. So with that, this hearing on docket number 0641 is adjourned.